Chapter 11. You are listening at novelful.audio. Naturally, Su-han wasn't privy to the head teacher's thoughts. But when he saw the bogus approval go through, he grinned and immediately shut down the computer. After that, he went back to cultivating his divine domain. That afternoon, Heavenly Express delivered the Tiangong set meal he'd ordered online, along with a bunch of other packages. "Alright, time for some serious construction," Su-han said. Getting pumped up, he entered his divine domain and densely populated the sky with the heavenly palace and divine towers. He also set up various formations to draw in the spiritual power of the entire domain and concentrated in the heavenly palace. When Su-han finished, the Tiangong divine tower hung high in the sky, shrouded in thick celestial mist, stretching for miles, magnificent and beautiful. Cranes danced, clouds swirled. It was like a real-life myth, indistinguishable from a true palace of the gods. Just as Su-han was admiring his handiwork, a crisp notification sounded. Ding! Heavenly Palace construction successful. Expansion commencing. Ding! Heavenly Palace successfully upgraded to the Heavenly Palace. Su-han stared, dumbfounded. The Heavenly Palace he'd built was expanding. The formation diagrams became more intricate, and stars appeared in the sky. The power of the stars was channeled by the formations and spread across the land. In just a few breaths, the spiritual energy within the entire divine realm tripled. More importantly, the concentration of spiritual energy within the Heavenly Palace was even higher. What flowed within the Heavenly Palace wasn't just spiritual energy anymore, it was more like spiritual mist. The energy had almost solidified, turning into clouds drifting lazily by. If the clouds before were formed by condensed water vapor, these were the materialization of spiritual energy itself. Wow! Can this system really just upgrade anything? Su-han strolled through the heavenly court, feeling its solemnity, and couldn't help but marvel. He was certain that after this upgrade, nothing like it could be bought, no matter how rich you were. Forget the numerous arrays within the heavenly court, which alone possessed incredible killing power. Su-han, controlling the formation, knew that even a lower god wouldn't stand a chance, and a mid-level god might be trapped to death in his domain, and this was with Su-han only being a junior god. If his strength increased, how powerful could this heavenly killing formation become? It was a terrifying thought. Even putting the formations aside, the fact that the Heavenly Palace had forcibly manifested the sun, moon, and stars in the divine domain was invaluable. If word got out, it could shock the ancient Eastern nations and even the entire world of gods. After all, Su-han had only heard of gods at the highest level being able to evolve stars in their domains. At that stage, the divine realm would be indistinguishable from reality, and the spiritual power would far surpass anything outside. I once transformed the Heavenly Palace in front of Yingzheng, Su-han mused, but now, the Heavenly Palace in my divine domain is even grander and more magnificent than the one I created back then. In the Qin dynasty's bright moon world, inside Xianyang Palace, Yingzheng sat high on the throne, looking down at the civil and military officials. The officials looked solemn, but their expressions were subtly shifting as they stared at Yingzheng. He was so young, almost a teenager. If they hadn't already heard the news about the miracle that had befallen Yingzheng, they might have thought one of his sons had launched a palace coup. "Congratulations, Your Majesty." Li Si stepped forward, his voice extremely respectful. "Your Majesty has unified the kingdoms, an unprecedented feat. Even the gods have recognized it and sent blessings. This is truly destiny. Rumors of this miracle are spreading throughout our great Qin, and the nobles of the 6 dynasties can't sleep at night. Many have lost their ambition, pressured their local forces, and surrendered to our great Qin. Congratulations, Your Majesty." The officials bowed in unison, their voices deafening, echoing through Xianyang Palace. Yingzheng looked down at them expressionlessly, his voice calm and even. "I will establish the creation god religion as the sole state religion of Great Qin. Every county, every district, every city in our Daqin must have a creation temple. Furthermore, I will be enshrined on Mount Tai. Offer sacrifices to the gods. But before the Mount Tai enshrinement, I myself will lead an expedition to quell the Xiongnu threat in the north." The hall erupted in shock. Your Majesty, that is impossible, old General Wang Jian said, gritting his teeth. He knew that questioning the emperor's ambition was risky, but the danger was too great. General Meng Tian is currently leading 100,000 elite troops to guard the border and build the Great Wall. The Xiongnu are a nuisance, but not a fatal threat. If your Majesty personally leads an expedition and something goes wrong due to the Xiongnu, it could jeopardize the entire empire. No, Wang Jian, you're wrong, Yingjing said with a faint smile, his voice gentle. I don't consider the Huns a threat. They are simply the first sacrifice I will offer to the gods. Furthermore, conquering the Xiongnu after unifying the warring states will make the Taishan Fengchan all the more significant. It will make me more worthy of the god I worship. Meeting adjourned. Despite lingering doubts, the officials had no choice but to carry out Yingjing's orders. Afterwards, Yingjing summoned representatives of the sects that were currently surrendering to the empire, including the Yin-Yang family and the Taoist family, deep within Xianyang Palace. We pay homage to your Majesty, Donghuang Tai said, leading the moon god, Xinghuan, and other Yin-Yang family disciples, bowing deeply to Qin Shi Huang, but compared to the Yin-Yang family's full force, the Taoist family seemed much more subdued. Only Master Xiaomeng had arrived. She also greeted Yingjing softly. You may rise, please be seated, Yingjing said calmly. Zhao Gao and the servants brought out chairs, and the Taoist and Yin-Yang families sat down. Your Majesty, we came because of the miracle that appeared in Xianyang Palace, Donghuang Tai said softly. Master Xiaomeng echoed him. She glanced at Donghuang Tai and added, Your Majesty, you may not know, but after the miracle, the horoscope concerning the fate of Great Qin has changed dramatically. Chapter 12. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Oh. Yingjing raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. Before, the stars were all over the place, practically screaming that the empire was headed for disaster, Xiaomeng said carefully, but now, the empire's future is just a blur. With what I know, I can't see it at all. Yingjing gave her a long look, understanding her point. But he didn't dwell on it. Maybe it's because I was supposed to kick the bucket at 49, but now, who knows? Maybe I'll live another 100 years. Maybe even forever. Everyone present felt their jaws drop. Immortality, a word that really gets you going. The Taoists are all about it. And as for the Yin-Yang family, well, that's a given since they branched off from Taoism in the first place. I want to offer sacrifices to the gods during the Zen ceremony at Mount Tai. One sacrifice will be Hun blood, and the other will be talented women. Donghuang Tai visibly stiffened, a cold sweat breaking out on his forehead. The Hun blood sacrifice? No problem. As far as the Central Plains is concerned, the Huns have always been the enemy, but the talented women part, combined with Yingjing's recent interest in them. The women you're talking about, they're supposed to be ours, right? Xinghuan blurted out. He was young, after all, and his voice trembled a little. Don't sweat it, it's got nothing to do with you. Yingjing glanced at Xiaomeng, Moon God, De Siming, and Xiao Siming. I've given it some thought, and I think these goddesses are perfect to serve the gods in heaven. Serve. Moon God's expression changed slightly. Their fear had been that Yingjing was planning to sacrifice them like the Huns. That's right. Yingjing nodded slightly. Once you're up there, receiving God's favor, you'll naturally live forever, immortality, the whole deal. Plus, serving God isn't just about cultivation. It's also about strength and life force. You must have heard about what went down in Xianyang City, right? A mythical beast showed up. We did, Donghuang Tai said stiffly. But you don't know the half of it. Those mythical beasts were just regular animals. Cattle, sheep, chickens, the whole farm. Ha! Even those animals can turn into mythical beasts. So imagine what happens when you, the pride of all women, head up there. Moon God and the De and Xiao Siming exchanged glances, each with a different expression. But it was clear that someone was already tempted. Heck, even Donghuang Tai was intrigued. He cleared his throat and said carefully, I wonder if I would meet God's requirements for sacrifice. Didn't I say female? Pure women, Ingzheng said flatly. I'm not twisting anyone's arm. It's your call. Ingzheng idly tapped his fingers on the table, lost in thought. He wasn't just testing them, he genuinely meant it. At the end of the day, the Yin-Yang and Taoist families were his people. And Ingzheng always took care of his own. He was upfront about it. Besides, if the Taoist bigwigs and the Yin-Yang family weren't on board, he could always sic his guys on the Mo family. He recalled an intel report from his spy network. The Mo family also had women who fit the genius daughter criteria. Moon God, De Si Ming, Xiao Si Ming, Dong Huang Tai said after a moment's thought, from today onward, you'll follow the first emperor. When the day comes for the Mount Tai ceremony, you'll go to heaven to serve God. Moon God nodded slightly. She was already halfway there, so no problem. As for the De and Xiao Siming, well, whatever they were thinking didn't matter. Dong Huang Tai had given the order, and they didn't have a say. I need to think it over, Xiaoming said, the only one who wasn't totally on board. But she didn't reject it outright. Ingzheng was unmoved. After everyone had left, Ingzheng immediately summoned his inner circle and headed north to the Great Wall to fight the Huns. That's right, he didn't call up any other armies. The news sent shockwaves through Xianyang City, but fortunately, Li Si quickly stepped in to calm things down. Plus, with the earlier godly omens, most people figured Ingzheng was protected by a higher power. So while the officials of the Qin dynasty were worried, they didn't think Ingzheng was in any real danger. This time, Ingzheng didn't ride in a carriage. He wanted to test the limits of his newfound innate realm cultivation, and he was more than happy with the results. In just one day, he and his closest confidants had reached the northern Great Wall. Meng Tian, having gotten wind of Ingzheng's arrival, came to greet him ASAP. Your Majesty, Meng Tian failed to learn of your Majesty's arrival at the first moment and come to greet him. I beg your Majesty's forgiveness. Meng Tian half knelt respectfully. His armor was battered, stained with blood, clear signs of a recent battle. Ingzheng studied Meng Tian, his voice calm as ever. I didn't tell you I was coming. What's there to apologize for? Suddenly, the sound of fighting erupted in the distance. Meng Tian's expression shifted, and he secretly cursed. After a moment's hesitation, he looked directly into Ingzheng's eyes. Your Majesty, the battlefield is dangerous. Please, leave at once. He wasn't saying it outright, but Meng Tian's message was clear. Ingzheng was just getting in the way. After all, Ingzheng's status was too high. If he stayed on the front lines, Meng Tian would have to pull troops, elite troops, to protect him. Which meant fewer soldiers to fight the Huns. Enough, Ingzheng said, a ghost of a smile playing on his lips. I'm here to solve the Hun problem. He pulled a bamboo scroll from his sleeve and tossed it to Meng Tian. After you kill the Huns this time, arrange their blood according to these instructions. Leave the rest to me. Ingzheng hadn't suddenly decided to deal with the Huns out of nowhere. He was inspired by the sacrifice ceremony Su Han had uploaded. There was a special type of sacrifice in that ceremony, blood sacrifice. It was a brutal, savage ritual. But apparently, it was a favorite with the gods. Ingzheng wasn't about to sacrifice his own people, but if the target was the enemy Huns, well, that was a different story. After the blood sacrifice, the gift from the gods should be enough to take him to the next level. If he reached the realm of land deities, maybe he could wipe out the Huns all by himself. He might not solve the northern problem completely, but he could at least cripple them and keep them from messing with the Central Plains for 100 years. Chapter 13. You are listening at newcomers. Of course, Ingzheng might not be strong enough after the sacrifice to hold off the Xiongnu on the grasslands, but that was fine. He could just have Meng Tian's army help out. They could still seriously hurt the Xiongnu. The only question was how badly they would hurt them, and how long it would take them to recover. Lost in thought, Ingzheng pushed off the ground and soared into the sky like a swallow. One more thing. General Meng Tian. Don't worry about my safety. There's probably no one among the Xiongnu who's stronger than me. Meng Tian stared, speechless. He opened his mouth, but just smiled wryly and said nothing. Standing on the great wall, Yingzheng looked down. The killing had begun. Qin soldiers fired arrows, but the Xiongnu archers were just as skilled, riding warhorses with terrifying mobility. Soon the arrows stopped, and the siege began. Attack and defense turned the great wall into a meat grinder. Qin soldiers fell, and so did the Xiongnu, though they suffered heavier losses. After more than an hour of fighting, the Xiongnu retreated and regrouped in the distance. The battle's not over yet. Yingzheng mused. Your Majesty, Meng Tian sighed, this is the season when the Xiongnu raid south to plunder the central plains for winter supplies. So, they have to break through the Great Wall. Even if it's a war of attrition, it could last a week or longer. As they spoke, Qin soldiers gathered the blood of the dead Xiongnu. Following instructions on bamboo slips, they hastily built a large altar of earth and rock, and used the blood to draw strange, complex formations on it. When they were finished, they threw the remaining Xiongnu corpses onto the formation. Your Majesty, it is done. Meng Tian said softly. Then it's my turn. Yingzheng said casually. He jumped from the great wall, landing lightly as a feather in the center of the altar. Meng Tian stared blankly, then his face paled, and he almost choked out, Your Majesty. He was terrified. He knew how important Qin Shi Huang was to Great Qin. He didn't dare think what would happen if something happened to him. It's fine, Gai Nye said calmly. As one of Yingzheng's top warriors, he was there, of course. His Majesty's power is immense. He's stronger than me. He can take the heads of enemy generals in an army of thousands. He can certainly protect himself. Meng Tian's lips trembled. He glared at Gai Nye, barely stopping himself from cursing. Was that something a guard should say? Zhao Gao, carrying his net, and Moon God, Si Ming, and the others were there too. They said nothing, just watched Yingzheng below. Some tried to memorize the altar and the blood-drawn formations. Others simply looked at Yingzheng and chanted prayers to the gods. Suddenly, a horn sounded in the distance. Damn! Meng Tian's face changed. Those were scouts reporting on the Xiongnu. The horn meant the enemy was attacking again. That was normal. The Xiongnu attacked constantly. Meng Tian was used to it, but not with Yingzheng down there. His expression shifted, and he ordered the general beside him, soldiers of Qin. Open the Great Wall to protect His Majesty. Yes, sir. The generals were worried but obeyed Meng Tian's order instantly. They were too focused to notice the altar glowing faintly. The blood painting seemed to flow like water. At the same time, Su Han was preparing for his exam at Anhai Seminary. His teacher, Li Guanghong, wearing a Taoist robe, stared at Su Han strangely. You opened your divine realm? Yeah. I signed up for the exams, didn't I? Su Han responded calmly. Li Guanghong was silent, then patted Su Han's shoulder. Great. That's great. If you have a divine realm, you've got the basics covered. With your science scores, you're going to a top seminary. Su Han smiled silently. Seminary? He was confident he could pass and get into one of the best schools. But he wasn't planning to go to school. He was planning to open his divine realm directly and break through the divine palace. Some geniuses had done it before. They'd shocked the country. After their breakthrough, they had taken on all the upperclassmen's gods and won. They'd been granted diplomas on the spot, plus, they proved their potential. They got freedom and full training. Of course, Su Han didn't tell his plans. Li Guanghong would freak out. A few weirdos had done that, but lately, colleges had gotten better. The gap between experienced gods and newbies was huge. 20 years ago, in Jinling City, a student had tried it, but the top sophomore theological student had crushed him in 3 moves. He'd spent a year recovering and gone back to school. Since then, no one had dared to say they'd take on the whole school. Just as he was about to say something, Su Han's face changed. Someone was offering sacrifices to him. Lao Ban, the exam starts in half an hour, right? I'm going into God's realm to prepare. Su Han said quickly and stepped into his divine realm. This guy. Li Guanghong smiled and went back to work. Su Han made sure no one was watching, closed his eyes, and listened for the call. Chapter 14. You are listening at newcomers. Is that Yingxing calling to me? Su Han's eyes blazed like the sun and moon, a radiance so intense it pierced through time and space, giving him a direct look at the scene in Qin Shi Mingyue. And is this a blood sacrifice? Su Han mused. Just then, a notification chimed in Su Han's ears. Ding! Blood sacrifice detected in the Qin Shi Mingyue world. System amplification initiated. Ding! Activating a 10,000x boost. Ding! Congratulations! You've gained 10,000 years of internal energy. Automatically converted into divine power. Ding! Congratulations! You've gained 30,000 years of internal energy. Automatically converted into divine power. Su Han's eyes widened. A flood of notifications poured in. The Huns being sacrificed by Yingzheng were all cultivators. Sure, their individual cultivation might be minor, but even a single year's worth of internal energy amplified 10,000 times equaled 10,000 years, even though internal energy converted to divine power would be significantly reduced, because divine power was far superior, but the sheer volume was staggering. The internal energy Su Han was receiving totaled billions of years. Even with a reduced conversion rate, the accumulated divine power was terrifying. Su Han's aura erupted, instantly rocketing him to the pinnacle of a junior god, then effortlessly shattering the barrier into a lower god. And even then, the divine power within him continued to surge. It pushed him halfway to becoming a mid-level god before finally subsiding. The entire divine realm shuddered. Su Han's power surge fed back into the divine realm, boosting its level and causing it to expand at an incredible rate. A divine realm expands tenfold when evolving from a primary to a lower god. From lower to mid-level, it can expand 100-fold. Given Su Han's potential, his divine realm would naturally maximize its growth. But since Su Han was only halfway to mid-level god status, his total divine realm only expanded 900 times, which meant the current area of his divine realm was 9 million square kilometers. Ding! Received a ray of faith. The power of faith triggers a 10,000x increase. Ding! You have gained 10,000 rays of the power of faith. Jackpot! Su Han murmured. Golden light flowed across his body, and the surging divine energy threatened to burst forth uncontrollably. But who would have guessed that Yingzheng would be the one doing the sacrificing? Didn't others in the group have their eye on Yingzheng? Oh well, I'll send Yingzheng a bigger gift this time. Maybe it will motivate the others in the group. Su Han channeled the surging divine energy within him. He sensed the situation in Qin Dynasty's Mingyue world. After the gift, I'll take care of those Huns over there. In the Qin Dynasty's Mingyue world, at the Great Wall, the Huns in the distance stared at Yingzheng. They were confused at first, but then they saw the black dragon robe he was wearing. Their eyes went wide, and surprise spread across their faces. The Emperor's dragon robe. It's the Emperor's dragon robe. The Emperor of that country. The Emperor of that country actually came to the front lines in person, with no soldiers to protect him. Kill! The leader's face was filled with excitement as he spurred his horse, leading the Han army at full gallop towards Yingzheng. If they could capture Yingzheng, they could get anything they wanted in exchange. Just as Qin soldiers desperately fought their way onto the Great Wall and the Han army charged forward, the sky above churned, a massive black rift tore open in the sky. At the same time, the sun, moon, and stars appeared all at once. It was a breathtaking sight. The celestial bodies poured down like liquid light. A calm, majestic voice thundered, "The monarch of the Qin dynasty, Yingzheng, has offered sacrifices to the gods with merit. I grant him 10,000 years of cultivation and 10,000 years of life." The light flowing from the sun, moon, and stars converged on Yingzheng. His body crackled with energy. His mind felt clearer than ever before, and his entire being was elevated, shining as if he turned into a human sun. Beside the Great Wall, Meng Tian, leading his troops, stared in disbelief. His weapon clattered to the ground, but he was relatively calm. The elite soldiers managed to stay on their horses. The ordinary soldiers, however, fell to their knees, kowtowing before the vast rift. Is that the god of creation? The moon god gazed at the miracle, her eyes filled with awe. The Siming swallowed hard. All she could process was the god's words. 10,000 years of cultivation, 10,000 years of life, 10,000 years of cultivation, what kind of monster would that create? It might even create a land god. And the god was so generous. It was terrifying to think about. The Yin sect believed in gods, even using the names of gods from the Songs of Chu as code names for their leaders. So they knew the widely circulated myths. The Siming knew that most myths about gods blessing the world were made up, but even in those tales, no god was ever so generous. This was like ascending to heaven in one step. The Huns halted their charge, they stared blankly at the sky, some shocked, others terrified, some even falling off their horses and kneeling, unable to even look up. Finally, Yin Zheng's transformation was complete. He snapped his eyes open, blazing with light. His skin was like white jade, and he possessed an indescribable, otherworldly aura. He raised his hands and called out to the sky, "Thank you for the god's gift. One day, you will spread my faith throughout the world. I will make you immortal, even make you a god, and build your kingdom of God on earth." Su Han's voice remained calm, like thunder. If Yin Zheng could get everyone on the planet to believe in Su Han, the whole world would be in Su Han's hands. With Yin Zheng's accomplishments, bestowing godhood was nothing, and even if he was called a god, with the word god appended, wouldn't he just be Su Han's wage earner in the end? Su Han was such a schemer. Chapter 15. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thank God, Yin Zheng gulped. His goal used to be immortality. Now, the chance to live forever, even become a god, had just landed in his lap. He took a deep breath. Yin Zheng knelt and kowtowed deeply to Su Han. It was the first time he'd ever done such a thing, a true sign of his complete determination and faith in Su Han. Sitting in his divine realm, Su Han's eyes gleamed. Most of it's handled. Time to finish this. He stretched out his hand. In the Qin dynasty's world, the cracks in the sky expanded 1,000-fold. Looking up, the entire sky was a shattered black void. A massive hand, blotting out the sun, reached down. It was so huge, it was like a whole continent. Everyone was stunned, shocked, excited, their eyes filled with adoration as the palm descended. It plunged into the earth, then, lifted a vast grassland spanning countless miles. Su Han slammed the entire grassland back down. The earth shook with a deafening boom, and dust billowed into the sky. Su Han's divine domain had expanded to over 3 million square miles. Even without using divine power to amplify it, he could lift a continent that size. With the boost from his divine power, the possibilities were endless. He wanted to take care of this once and for all and show Zulong and the people of the Qin world the power of the gods. He decided to use this divine feat to completely wipe out the Xiongnu on the grassland. Lifting and smashing down nearly 3 million square miles of land would naturally cause an extinction-level earthquake, one that could even destroy the entire Qin state, but Su Han used his divine power to nullify the earthquake waves. Qin itself, even the spot where Yin Zheng stood, remained untouched. Su Han raised his hand again. Yin Zheng stared, dumbfounded. The grassland, the Huns, everything was gone. In its place was black soil, endless black earth. Meng Tian collapsed off his horse, rolling and kowtowing toward the gigantic hand in the sky. He was speechless. If he had died, and they were still on the Great Wall, whether it was the Yin Yang family or Zhao Gao's network of assassins, everyone was on their knees. The next moment, the colossal hand retreated back into the space-time rift. The rift closed, the sun, moon, and stars reappeared, and the sky was clear once more. Everything returned to normal, but the scene remained eerily silent for a long time. This miracle was a success. Su Han nodded, satisfied. Then, he checked the time. Okay, got about 20 minutes left. Gotta take that practice test, huh? Su Han suddenly realized something. He was practically a mid-level god, and with his resources, he could probably hold his own in a fight against one. After all, most mid-level gods probably only had a divine domain of 100,000 square miles. His was 10 times that size. Even the most talented students who joined top divine academies and trained for 4 years probably only reached the cultivation level of a mid-level god. That's true. Su-han smiled wryly and shook his head, but decided to stick to his original plan. Ultimately, his main reason for going to the academy was to use the school's resources, not to study. Rubbing his forehead, Su-han pushed those thoughts aside and focused on the multiverse chat group again. Let's see, did Ying cause any ripples in the group? Yi-hei, another boring day. Yi-hei, oh, I've been practicing that technique from the moon worship cult, the one that's supposed to lead to immortality. Been at it for 3 days, and haven't even scratched the surface. Yi-hei, starting to think there's no spiritual energy in my world. Maybe there's just no way to cultivate. Young master of Peach Blossom Island, or maybe you're just not cut out for it. Yi-hei. Yi-hei's heart sank. That was what he feared most. Why did he have to twist the knife like that? Great Qin Zulong. Great Qin Zulong, doubtlife.jpg. Young master of Peach Blossom Island, the first emperor's here. Hold on. Your Majesty, why the existential crisis? Young master of Peach Blossom Island, from what I know of you, you're the most powerful person in the world. You can change anything with a word or a gesture. You're the first emperor of Qin, for crying out loud. Leader of the moon-worshipping cult, power comes with its own burdens. You can't always be happy. Leader of the moon-worshipping cult, you're like the kingmaker, able to depose and install rulers at will. You think that king is going to be carefree and cheerful all day. Yi-hei, real.jpg. Great Qin Zulong, I'm a little sensitive to the phrase, turnover, right now. Great Qin Zulong, just saw something earth-shattering. My god took action. For a moment, I thought the world was ending. The strongest man's deputy. Moon worshipper, what happened? Great Qin Zulong, I made an offering to my god, and he responded. For a moment, I thought the world was ending. Yi-hei. Holy crap. The strongest man's deputy. The leader of the moon-worshipping cult, the god, is taking action again. The young master of Peach Blossom Island, for his majesty to lose his composure like this, something big must have happened. Young master of Peach Blossom Island, but even so, end of the world sounds like an exaggeration. What went down? Curiosity.jpg. Moon-worshipping cult leader, old rules, post a video. Great Qin Zulong. Ding. The Qin Zulong uploaded a video. Please download to watch. Chapter 16. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The chat group members were itching with anticipation, their curiosity at a fever pitch. What incredible method would God unveil this time? Something powerful enough to shatter an emperor's worldview? Ding. Yi-hei has successfully downloaded the video. Ding. The strongest man's deputy has successfully downloaded the video. Inside an ordinary bookstore, Yi-hei's expression was a mix of excitement, apprehension, and doubt. He clicked the watch button in his mind, and the video filled his vision. It opened with Ying ordering his men to use the blood of the Xiongnu to draw the formation map and arranging their bodies on the altar. Then, Ying recited the sacrificial words with a booming voice. Divine light surged, and Yi-hei watched, dumbfounded, as Ying underwent a profound transformation. He didn't become younger this time, but his very essence seemed to be elevated. When Yi-hei heard God's earth-shattering proclamation, he gasped. Holy crap, 10,000 years of life and cultivation. No way, but this unbelievable generosity floored Yi-hei. After he caught his breath, he was deeply moved. He thought about how he'd been struggling to decipher the secrets of immortality from the moon-worshipping cult leader's manual, revising it endlessly without making any real progress. Just as Yi-hei was lost in thought, he saw God extend a palm that blotted out the sun, a single hand encompassing the vast grassland. And then, he brought it crashing down. Everything was being destroyed, collapsing, except for the area protected by the Great Wall. No divine light touched it, and no strange phenomena occurred there. It was as if the two were in different dimensions, the devastation unable to cross the barrier. The video ended, leaving Yi-Hei stunned, his lips trembling. He immediately jumped into the chat group, overcome with emotion. Yi-Hei, what in the world? Totally spaced out. JPG. The strongest man's deputy, I'm scared. JPG. The young master of Peach Blossom Island, mind blown. JPG. I finally get why His Majesty the First Emperor looked like he was having an existential crisis. Is this the power of God? Huang Rong was definitely questioning everything. The moon-worshipping cult leader, that palm was so huge, you couldn't even see the edges. And when he lifted it, it was like he was holding up the entire world. Moon-worshipping cult leader, I'm dying to know how big God's body actually is. Is it really as big as the world itself? Back at the moon-worship sect, the leader suddenly shot to his feet, his face alight with fanaticism. His sudden movement startled his disciples. They stared blankly at their usually composed leader. Ignoring them, the leader muttered to himself, it's too powerful. That kind of power, it's beyond words. He didn't even need divine power, he just used his physical strength to lift the earth and wipe out a race. The gods in our world's legends, they're not even in the same league as this god. Our gods couldn't grant someone 10,000 years of life and cultivation out of thin air. Could never elevate them to that level in an instant. Everything proved that the god in the chat group was far beyond the gods of the six realms. Heaven and demons were just ants compared to this god. Taking a few deep breaths, the leader forced himself to calm down. He looked around and realized everyone was terrified by his outburst. Come, the leader said, regaining his composure, prepare the altar according to my instructions. And begin the search for sacrifices. And find the 5 spirit pearls. The leader trailed off, tapping his fingers on the table. An idea sparked, and he laughed. Didn't some disciples say they were tracking the escaped witch's daughter? Yes. An elder said cautiously. But we're not sure yet. We were waiting for your permission to send people to investigate. Forget it. The leader slammed his hand on the table, his eyes gleaming. Send my best people, now. Get them there as fast as possible. If it's true, capture that demon girl's daughter. Bring her back to the moon worship sect. What could be a better sacrifice to God than the descendant of Nuwa? According to the sacrificial standards, Nuwa's descendants could bear the destiny of the people, right? The corners of the leader's mouth turned up in a smile. Surely, after the sacrifice, God would grant him divine grace and reveal the secret to making the world know true love. The strongest man's deputy, I thought my old man was God tier, but a real God is something else. I was so wrong. Su Han watched the lively exchange in the chat group, silently observing. The words of the strongest man's deputy caught his attention. Interesting. The strongest man, a deputy, and a father, plus multiple kingdoms and rulers in the same territory. Could it be One Piece? Su Han had a hunch, but he couldn't be certain. Yi-Hei, I'm not kidding, I'm studying the sacrificial method right now. I'm blowing all my cash on jade to make a mountain of it. Yi-Hei, but I'm not some big shot. I don't have any rare treasures. I guess I'll just have to sacrifice with livestock and grain. Poverty is a curse. JPG. Young master of Peach Blossom Island, same here. Yi-Hei. Ugh. But first, I have to go to my class reunion. Yi-Hei. This is so annoying. I just want to drop everything and cultivate immortality. I want to be an immortal and live the carefree life. JPG. Moon worshipping leader, if you truly desired it, no one could stop you. You're just unwilling to let go of the distractions. Yi-Hei, you got me. I'm only human. But after this reunion, nothing can stop me from becoming an immortal. Su Han's eye twitched as he read Yi-Hei's statement. Class reunion. Was this the beginning of his rise to power? Was Yi-Hei about to become a legend? Chapter 17. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Han griped to himself. Bottom line, ever since Yi-Hei blasted off with the 9 dragons coffin, nothing could stop his path to immortality, because in the dog-eat-dog world of the Beidou Star territory, without immortality and strength, you're roadkill. You're at the bottom of the food chain. After a quick breath, anticipation lit up Su-Han's face. The day has finally come. He'd been eyeing those resources that could cover the sky forever, whether it was the immortality elixir brewed from the immortal king's corpse, or the black and yellow cosmic energy born from heaven and earth. He wanted it all, one-piece world, a massive, strange ship cut through the waves. This was the Moby Dick, the flagship of one of the 4 emperors, Edward Newgate, also known as Whitebeard. Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world, wielded the power of the tremor fruit, capable of obliterating anything. Below deck, Marco paced his cabin, brow furrowed, a mix of hesitation, excitement, joy, and worry swirling within him. That power definitely outclasses every strong person I've ever seen. The world government, the Navy, what are they against that power? One palm could wipe them out. But sacrificing to him is still too risky. Years as a pirate had taught Marco that the bigger the reward, the bigger the danger lurking beneath. Everything comes at a price. Gura gura gura, a deep laugh rumbled as a door opened, and Edward Newgate emerged. He fixed Marco with a stare. What's eating you? You've been looking jumpy all day. You're not getting cold feet, are you? Don't sweat it. I'm the strongest. The Navy figured they could use Ace as bait to trap me, but it was a pipe dream. We'll all live. You can do it, I can do it, and Ace can do it too. Marco gazed steadily at Edward Newgate, the worry fading from his face. He said softly, yeah, that's gotta be it. After a few more words, Marco watched Whitebeard leave, then without hesitation, he strode from his cabin and, as first mate, barked out the order to build the altar. There was danger, so what? Marco figured that even if the priest wanted to sacrifice him alive, as long as the old man and the others survived, it'd be worth it. Besides, the odds of him being okay were actually pretty good. Now comes the fun part, picking the sacrifice, Marco murmured. Suddenly, Ing Zheng's earlier actions clicked. Right, how could I forget that? I can use those Navy guys as sacrifices. Not only that, the Navy's top brass and the 7 warlords will all be there. An admiral or a warlord, they'd all make great sacrifices. There's Hancock, the most beautiful woman in the world, and Hawkeye, the world's greatest swordsman. Marco clenched his fists, his mind made up. He dove back into the chat group, hesitating before typing. Whitebeard's first mate, I'm really curious about God. Leader of moon worship, me too, and I find it strange. If we're all thinking this, why doesn't anyone just ask God? Master you, God's definitely mysterious. Even though he's the God of creation, we still don't know his teachings or his philosophy. The leader of the moon worship cult didn't say what he really thought, that he didn't know if this God was good or evil. That fact always concerned him. Yi-Hei, why don't you ask? Yi-Hei rolled his eyes. He saw right through them. They were too chicken to ask God themselves, so they were trying to get someone else to do it. Peach Blossom Island Prodigy, actually, I think God is pretty nice. Maybe. Yi-Hei, how about you give it a shot? Peach Blossom Island Prodigy, nah, I'm good. Peach Blossom Island Prodigy, okay, fine, I'll try it. At God. Peach Blossom Island, Huang Rong was huddled under her covers, eyes glued to the interface in her mind. Even though she was focused on the chat group, she couldn't help but recall the God from the earlier picture, that world-ending power. Her cheeks flushed with excitement. When she saw Yi-Hei's comment, she'd gotten so hyped that she immediately tagged God. But afterwards, it hit her and a cold sweat broke out on her back. Oh man, was she being way too forward? That was impulsive. But after a beat of anxiety, Huang Rong calmed herself down, remembering how Ing Zheng had called out to God. The God of creation hadn't been mad then. Her eyes darted around the chat group, her expression shifting. Even she didn't know whether she wanted God to respond or if she hoped he'd ignore her. God, spit it out. Whitebeard's first mate. Yi-Hei, God, give me a bow. Leader of moon worship, 2 bows. Whitebeard's first mate, 3 bows. Peach Blossom Island prodigy, lol. Huang Rong wiped the sweat from her brow, feeling super awkward. Why did this feel like getting married? Great Qin's ancestor dragon, I don't have anything to ask. I just want to thank God for ending the disaster on the northern grasslands. Now I can pull my troops from the border and recover. Yi Hei, yeah, you definitely need to recover. That slap was so brutal, the whole grassland almost disappeared. Peach Blossom Island prodigy, I was just wondering, God, you can hold the earth in your hands. If you went all out, what could you do? I'm just curious. If it's not cool to answer, just pretend I didn't say anything. God, go all out. Don't need to go all out. God, my body is actually average-sized, just like you mortals. I just wanted to take care of the haystack earlier, so the size of my palm changed a little and became big enough to hold the lawn. Nothing weird. Whitebeard's first mate, moon worshipper. Yi Hei, is that normal in the eyes of gods? Peach Blossom Island prodigy, how big can you make your palms? Huang Rong gulped, God, if you need to hold the planet. Then it'll become the same size as the planet. If you need to hold the sun. Then it'll become the same size as the sun. If you need to hold the galaxy. Then it'll become the same size as the galaxy. Chapter 18. You are listening at newcomers. Young master of Peach Blossom Island, planets, suns, galaxies. Okay, I know the sun, but what's the deal with planets and galaxies? Are they, like, superstars or something? De Qin Zulong, Yi Hei. Yi Hei, a planet is basically the world you're living on right now. Yi Hei, that ground you're standing on. It's actually round. Just a circle so massive, you can't even wrap your head around it. Yeah, that's the gist of it. Picture.jpg. Yi Hei found a picture of Earth from space online and sent it. Yi Hei, the blue stuff is the ocean. The other colors, that's land. Oceans cover maybe 70% of Earth, which is, the world we live on. Young master of Peach Blossom Island. The planet we're on is round? No way. We'd all fall off. Moon worshipping leader, actually. I knew about this. The world's definitely round. If you walk in one direction long enough, you'll eventually end up back where you started. Moon worshipping leader, but what exactly is a galaxy, then? He fell into deep thought. Yi Hei, galaxy. That's a tough one. Think of it as a bunch of stars all clumped together. Like, the Sun, Earth, Venus, Mars, they all make up the solar system. Yi Hei, the solar system is, like, hundreds of millions times bigger than the Earth? Or maybe billions. I honestly don't know the exact number, but it's huge. Yi Hei, and that's just the solar system. What if God is talking about the Milky Way galaxy? Yi Hei took a breath, not daring to say more. He pictured that scene where God stretched out a sky-covering hand and lifted the grasslands, then imagined the same hand holding the sun and the entire galaxy. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Way too freaky, moon worshipper. The moon-worshipping leader was just as confused. He thought he was on the cutting edge of worldly knowledge, but now his big discovery seemed like nothing to Yi Hei. And Yi Hei knew about galaxies? Young master of Peach Blossom Island, you know a lot. Yi Hei, time, man. Your era is 1,000 years after Qin Shi Huang, and my era is 1,000 years after yours. A lot can change in 1,000 years. Knowledge, society, government, everything's been flipped on its head. Great Qin Zulong, are you from the future? Young master of Peach Blossom Island, didn't we already say that? We keep calling you Qin Shi Huang. Great Qin Zulong, maybe. I've been so focused on God these past few days, I haven't paid attention to anything else. Yi Hei, ahem, your majesty, we've got history books about Great Qin. If you want to know about the future, just ask. Well, I can't speak for the young master of Peach Blossom Island, but I'll tell you whatever you want to know. Zheng was silent, his expression shifting between doubt, excitement, and worry, but the thought of the gods calmed him. His eyes flickered with curiosity as he addressed the group once more. Great Qin Zulong, I want to know, did I live for 1,000, or even 2,000 years, young master of Peach Blossom Island? Yi Hei? Seriously? That's the first question you ask. How are we supposed to answer that? Especially Yi Hei, who had just boasted about knowing everything, he felt like banging his head against the table. Great Qin Zulong, can you at least tell me, am I still dead? How did I die? Yi Hei, your majesty, you are dead. You died at the age of 49. As far as our history goes, you didn't have any encounters with a god. Yi Hei, hang on, let me find some info about the Qin dynasty. Actually, scratch that. The young master of Peach Blossom Island is from the Southern Song dynasty, right? I'll just put together a timeline covering the last 5,000 years. Leader of worshipping moon, oh. I wonder if I made it into that 5,000-year history. Young master of Peach Blossom Island, no thanks. Yi Hei, nah, we're good. Leader of the moon. Su Han watched the chat, feeling pleased. Zheng's dramatic questions clearly worked. Su Han put himself in their shoes, and he felt moved when he saw Zheng's words. It seems someone is about to make a sacrifice soon. This will bring new income. Moreover, Yi Hei will soon embark on the ancient road of the starry sky. After Yi Hei steps on that road, he'll get stronger at the same time. He will also encounter many life-threatening dangers. When you encounter danger, you must become stronger. If he becomes stronger, then he must be the fastest by sacrificing him. However, the world that covers the sky with one hand, is still very dangerous. Not to mention, a bunch of supreme beings who have killed themselves to survive would be crazy if they realize that someone lives for a long time. To put it simply, the Empress has been paying attention to Yi Hei for a long time. Su Han's eyes flashed. Of course, although it was dangerous, he did not panic at all. First, the early-stage strong men who cover the sky with one hand have limited strength. The real extreme powerhouses all sleep in the forbidden area, unless they are of the same level. Fluctuation, otherwise it would be difficult for them to wake up. Secondly, even if Su Han is really unlucky and is targeted by the Supreme. But when Su Han performs a miracle, he must do it in his own divine domain. The Supremes really bump into each other. That's not possible at all. It's not about breaking into Su Han's divine domain, but bumping into the crystal wall world barrier of the God world first. At that time, it will be really exciting. Although Su Han doesn't know, there are some real top powerhouses in the God world. How strong? After all, this information is confidential. But after seeing the many divine treaties in history that can be found on the internet, he can also guess a thing or two. In the Treaty of All Nations created during the Second East-West God War, but it is clearly stipulated that high-ranking gods cannot forcibly cross the long river of time and tamper with the timeline. Otherwise, the whole world will fight against it. TSK, crossing the long river of time and changing history. This is equivalent to covering the world with one hand, and it cannot be powerful at the level of an immortal king. Only those who can do it. However, judging from the historical records of the Second East-West God War, it is terrifying that there were so many gods who could do such things before the God War. Moreover, the regulations only stipulated high-ranking gods. There are also other gods after the regulations. There are regulations that restrict the top gods. No matter how much he thinks about it, Su Han feels that the top gods must be stronger than the high-ranking gods. And who knows if there are stronger ones in the future. Reading books on May Day will be amazing. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP point coupons. Grab a deposit now. Activity time, April 29th to May 3rd. Chapter 19. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How tough was the Crystal Wall World Group that could handle supreme gods? I'm guessing even a supreme being would get wrecked on contact. Su Han hung out in the chat group for a while, but no one talked about him or, more likely, they were afraid to, so he just bounced, checking the time. Suhan figured it was almost assessment time. He immediately stepped out of his divine realm. Wonder what the test'll be this time. Suhan mused, rubbing his chin. He had a feeling no matter what it was gonna be a doozy. After all, these exams were designed for elementary gods, and he was about to hit the big leagues. But hey, what could he do? Suhan never expected to get this far so fast. First up was the written exam, which Suhan had in the bag. Even before unlocking his divine realm, he was usually in the top 3 on school tests. Now, with his boosted memory and intelligence, it was a joke. After half a day of crushing it, Suhan was pretty sure he'd aced it. After lunch came the physical test. The school gathered 1,000 candidates in the training square in the middle of Anhai Theological College. It looked like your average square, but it was a unique place for Anhai Theological College students. The first principal made it himself. The principal plucked stars from the sky, refining them and fusing them with spatial laws. The result? The square only took up about 2 square miles, but once you stepped inside, you were in a whole new world, with a usable area of almost 400,000 square miles. Before the exam kicked off, the principal took the stage to give the pep talk. Students, this exam is gonna be a little different from what you're used to. While past tests measured combat effectiveness, they were also a little too textbook. But the Ministry of Theology wants things to change. Now that the world is entering a new era, only gods who can fight will get ahead. Even if you're still wet behind the ears, you still need to cultivate your combat skills. That's why we're doing things differently. This exam is all about fighting. You'll all be thrown into this training square. You can team up or go solo. Just use everything you've got, strength, brains, the whole shebang. Your ranking will be based on how long you last. The longer you're in, the higher you'll rank. Even if you're not the strongest, but you play the long game, hiding in the shadows and taking down the last guy with a sneak attack, you'll still be number 1. The square was silent for a moment, then exploded with noise. Standing next to Suhan was a girl, the class monitor, who unlocked her divine realm in freshman year. Super talented. Her family had some money, too. Of course, the monitor got along great with Suhan. More accurately, she got along great with all the guys in class. As one of Suhan's classmates once said, she should have been born a dude. Her chill personality makes it easy for guys to hang out with her. At that moment, the monitor was ranting, "Damn it, this principal is off his rocker. My family told me this exam is really focused on fighting ability. But no one's figured out how to gauge that. Just throwing people into a brawl is ridiculous. The longer you last, the higher you rank. What is this? The rankings are gonna be a disaster. A lot of the top dogs are gonna get dragged down to the bottom. And this test is totally different from the Great God test coming up in a few months. Ugh, I wish I could skip it. I bet this is the result of some drunken idea the principal had." Suhan nodded in agreement, silently calling him an idiot. If this was old Suhan, he wouldn't say anything, wouldn't fight anyone, and just try to survive as long as possible. In the end, he'd take down someone weak and call it quits, probably ending up somewhere in the middle. But he was a demigod now. When it came to actual combat, he was probably at the bottom of the school. The principal kept talking, but everyone was too busy gossiping to pay attention. When the principal finally wrapped things up, he announced it was almost go time. Head teacher Li Guanhong immediately approached. He gave each student a medal. This medal could track the wearer's condition and record when they were eliminated. Basically, if a god got seriously injured, the medal would activate automatically and send them out. Minor injuries were fine, since gods could bounce back so quickly. Even without medicine, they could be back to 100% in half an hour. And in this case, a minor injury meant getting most of your body wrecked. Head chopped off, limbs broken, as long as it didn't damage your divine realm, you were good to go. When Li Guanhong reached Suhan, he gave him a look, a mix of relief and worry. He quietly said, "Don't worry about getting a top spot. Just lay low, and if you can end up in the middle, you've succeeded. Don't worry." Su-Han grinned. Once all the teachers had cleared the square and the principal announced the assessment was officially underway, the whole place erupted. 90% of the students took off running. Su-Han wasn't the only one thinking about hiding early on, the remaining few were either too stunned to react or were so confident in their strength they didn't bother dodging. Then, the battle started, of course. It was those who hadn't fled who started it. One god after another opened their divine domains. Snow mountains, oceans, plains, deserts, all sorts of landscapes appeared. At the same time, warriors of different shapes and armor appeared in the divine realm. Then, they clashed. Su-Han watched it all with interest. Suddenly, a figure bathed in golden light, face hidden, burst out from his divine realm holding 3 or 4 worm-like creatures and charged straight for Su-Han. Chapter 20. You are listening at newcomers. I just wanna chill and snag some fish. Su-Han sighed, balled his fist, and then threw a sudden punch. Even though he held back most of his strength, the punch was still like a hot knife through butter, blowing right through the guy's divine realm. It slammed right into his heart. The dude went flying like a cannonball, crashing into a hillside with a massive boom. The hillside crumbled, sending a cloud of dust and smoke billowing into the sky. Everything went silent for a second, then all the other junior gods turned to look. Their faces were a mix of confusion and disbelief. What's this guy's deal? He didn't even use his divine realm. But if you don't, you can't maximize your divine power. Nah, he just used pure brute strength. No way. I know that guy. He's the VP of Class B in 3rd grade. He's supposed to be one of the most promising gods in 3rd grade. Not the top dog, but a serious contender. Taking down a divine realm with just his body, does he think he's a minor god or something? I got a bad feeling about this guy. He's gonna be trouble. Some were shocked, some in denial, others were deep in thought, and some smart ones exchanged glances, a silent agreement forming. Su-Han's power was seriously impressive. The longer you lasted in this competition, the higher you ranked. So, the best play was to take out anyone who could shake things up. ASAP, dozens of junior gods launched an attack all at once. Mountains, plains, deserts, oceans, all sorts of different divine realms popped up, overlapping, and started closing in on Su-Han. The pressure was insane, like being crushed by a bunch of mini-worlds. Guess there's no playing it cool. Su-Han's expression didn't change. He sighed and moved again, but he still kept it casual. Every god there was sure Su-Han was about to get wrecked. After all, overconfidence is a killer, but the result was like a sledgehammer through wet paper. Even just casually waving his hand or throwing a punch, the raw power in his body tore through the divine realms one after another. They shattered, leaving the gods injured. Their divine realms, blasted apart from the outside in. That messed with their internal divine realms, leaving them seriously hurt. The divine realm is everything. The body is nothing. In a split second, the 30+ gods who attacked Su-Han were scrambling to retreat. It was dead silent. Before, the other gods were interested and wary of Su-Han. Now, they were just plain scared. That physique. Insane. Did this dude open up a 100,000 square kilometer divine domain? Impossible. Even minor gods don't usually hit 100,000 square kilometers. But if that's not it, how else do you explain that strength? Run, thought almost all the gods who snapped out of it booked it in every direction. Even the ones who were too stunned to move got the message from everyone else scrambling, and joined the exodus. The center of the training area became a ghost town. TSK, they bolted fast. Su-Han clicked his tongue. If they'd stuck around, he wouldn't have minded taking them out one by one, but chasing them down wasn't worth the effort. After all, the training area was 1,000,000 square kilometers. It would take forever to comb the whole thing. He casually pulled out a table and some snacks from his divine domain, along with a lounge chair. Su-Han plopped down, rocking in the chair and munching on dessert. It didn't feel like a test at all, more like a vacation. Meanwhile, back at the Academy's monitoring center, a bunch of instructors from On-High College were hanging out. They were bathed in divine light, their power barely contained. The different divine powers clashed, even distorting the space around them. They were just chatting. Every word they spoke rumbled with the force of the universe. John, I saw your student. That strength, that body is powerful. I am afraid that the area of the divine domain is close to 9,000. Son, isn't that study committee member in your class also terribly strong? Oh my God, there are actually 23rd grade or above alien beasts hidden in his divine domain. Tisk, purely in terms of racial warfare in the divine domain, I guess none of us in Onhai can compare with him. 23rd grade exotic beasts. Damn it, I have been saving up in the lower god realm for 10 years. I have only saved a dozen 3rd grade exotic beasts so far. I'm jealous. So envious. Hold on, what's going on here? Suddenly, someone gasped, grabbing everyone's attention. When the other instructors looked, they couldn't help but exclaim. Holy crap. What the hell? No divine realm, just straight up hand-to-hand combat against other students who were going all out, and then just beats them all down. Are you telling me this is a high school senior? How did he even make it in here? That's crossing the line. This is a simulated god test. If you dare to cause trouble, you will definitely be expelled. Wait a minute. I know this guy, he seems to be in Lee's class, the one who hadn't even opened his divine realm yet. The room went silent, everyone froze, then turned slowly to face Li Guanghong, who was just as shocked as they were. Well, Li Guanghong's lips twitched. He forced a smile. I don't know, as far as I knew, he only opened his divine realm yesterday. Maybe he's just not used to it yet, right? You're saying this guy only opened his divine realm yesterday? If that divine domain isn't at least 500,000 square kilometers, I'll eat my hat. That's insane. 500,000 square kilometers, are you sure this isn't a mid-level god? I can't even.